Hey there, future photography ninjas. Welcome to the whimsical world of photography, where every click can be a masterpiece or a hilarious mishap. Ever look at your photos and think, did a raccoon take these? Trust me, we've all been there, staring at a blurry mess and wondering what went wrong. Yeah, me too. My early photos? Blurry landscapes that looked like they were taken during an earthquake. My thumb covering half the shot like an uninvited guest. And let's not forget those artistic close-ups of potatoes? Yes, potatoes. They were my unintentional muse. Turns out photography is a lot more than just pointing and clicking. It's an art, a science, and sometimes a comedy show all rolled into one. But fear not, my friends. I'm here to guide you through this magical, sometimes confusing world of capturing light. With a little bit of patience, practice, and a sprinkle of humor, you'll be snapping photos that will make even your toughest critics, like my dog, wag their tails in approval. Buckle up. It's going to be a wild and hilarious ride. My journey into photography started with a burning desire to take photos that didn't look like abstract art projects gone wrong. I wanted to capture memories, not blurs. I wanted to freeze moments in time, not create unrecognizable blobs of color. I wanted to impress my dog with my photographic skills. He's a tough critic. Every time I showed him a photo, he'd give me that look. You know, the one that says, "Really, this is the best you can do?" So I embarked on a quest, armed with a camera and a dream. A dream to take photos that would make my dog proud and maybe even win an award or two. I started by learning the basics. Aperture, shutter speed, ISO. These were my new best friends. I practiced, I failed, I learned, and I improved. And you know what? You can do it too. With a bit of dedication and a lot of practice, you'll be amazed at how quickly you can improve. Let's dive in, shall we? Together we'll explore the tips, tricks, and techniques that will transform your photos from "Did a raccoon take these?" to "Wow, did you take these?" So grab your camera, your sense of humor, and let's get started on this photographic adventure. First things first, let's talk about the gear. You don't need the most expensive camera to take great photos. It's all about understanding how to use what you have. Whether you're using a smartphone or a DSLR, the principles are the same. Start by getting to know your camera. Read the manual, watch tutorials, and most importantly, practice. Take photos of everything and anything. Experiment with different settings and see how they affect your photos. Next, let's talk about composition. This is where the magic happens. The rule of thirds, leading lines, framing. These are all techniques that can take your photos from ordinary to extraordinary. And don't forget about lighting. It's one of the most important aspects of photography. Natural light, artificial light, golden hour. Understanding how to use light will make a huge difference in your photos. So, are you ready to embark on this journey with me? Let's turn those potato photos into award-winning masterpieces. Remember, every great photographer started somewhere, and with a bit of practice and a lot of passion, you'll be amazed at what you can achieve. Let's get snapping. First things first, you're gonna need a camera. This is your gateway to capturing memories, telling stories, and maybe even starting a new hobby or career. But don't let the sheer number of options overwhelm you. Now, before you run off to pawn your grandmother's silver, relax. Take a deep breath. The world of cameras is vast, but it doesn't have to be intimidating. You don't need to sell a kidney to get started. There are cameras for every budget, and you can find something that fits your needs without breaking the bank. Sure, there are cameras out there that cost more than a small car, and they come with all the latest features and gadgets. These high-end models are impressive, but they're not necessary for everyone. But there are also plenty of affordable options that'll make you say, "Wow, this isn't a potato." These budget-friendly cameras can still deliver great quality and help you get started on your photography journey. Think of it like dating. Bear with me here. You wouldn't commit to the first person you meet, right? The same goes for cameras. You don't need to marry the first camera you see. Take your time to explore different models, compare features, and see what feels right for you. Start with something simple, maybe a point-and-shoot or a beginner DSLR. These cameras are user-friendly and perfect for learning the basics without overwhelming you with too many options. Get to know it, learn its quirks, take it on some fun dates, photo walks in the park, anyone. Experiment with different settings, try out various lighting conditions, and see what kind of photos you can create. Once you've mastered the basics, then you can start thinking about upgrading to that fancy pants camera with all the bells and whistles. By then, you'll have a better understanding of what features are important to you and what you can live without. But remember, the best camera is the one you have with you. Whether it's a high-end DSLR, a compact point-and-shoot, or even your smartphone, the most important thing is to get out there and start capturing moments. And don't forget, photography doesn't end when you press the shutter button. Editing your photos can be just as important as taking them. There are plenty of free and affordable editing software options out there to help you enhance your images. Consider joining a photography class or community. Learning from others and sharing your work can be incredibly rewarding and help you grow as a photographer. There are countless resources available online, from tutorials to forums, where you can learn new techniques and get feedback on your work. Don't be afraid to experiment and try new things. And finally, don't let your photos just sit on your camera or computer. Print them out, create photo albums, or display them on your walls. Share your work with the world and enjoy the fruits of your labor. Photography is a wonderful way to capture memories and tell stories. So go out there, find your new best friend, and start creating. Now let's talk techie stuff. I know, it sounds intimidating, but trust me, it's not as complicated as it seems. Don't worry, I'll keep it light. Pun intended. Photography is all about capturing moments, and understanding your camera is the first step to doing that effectively. You've got your camera, you're ready to shoot, but what are all those buttons and dials? It can feel like you're staring at the cockpit of an airplane, right? But don't panic. Don't panic. It's not rocket surgery, I promise. Think of it more like learning to drive a car. At first, all those pedals and gears seem overwhelming, but with a little practice, it becomes second nature. Think of it like this. ISO. Imagine you're at a rock concert. The louder the music, the more sensitive your ears become, right? ISO is like your camera's ears. It controls how sensitive your camera is to light. ISO is like your camera's ears. The higher the ISO, the more sensitive your camera is to light, which is great for low-light situations. But be careful. Too high an ISO can make your photos look grainy. Higher ISO for low light, lower ISO for bright sunny days. Easy peasy. Just remember, balance is key. You don't want your photos to be too noisy or too dark. Shutter speed. Ever tried to take a picture of your hyperactive puppy? Blurry mess, right? That's where shutter speed comes in. It controls how long your camera's eye stays open. Shutter speed controls how long your camera's eye stays open. A fast shutter speed freezes motion, perfect for capturing action shots. A slow shutter speed lets in more light but can cause motion blur. Fast shutter speed for action shots, slow shutter speed for those artsy blurred backgrounds. It's all about what you're trying to capture. Want to freeze a moment in time? Go fast. Want to show movement? Go slow. Aperture. Think of it like your pupil. The wider it is, the more light gets in. Aperture controls the depth of field in your photos. The wider it is, the more light gets in. A wide aperture, low f number, creates a shallow depth of field, which means only a small part of your photo is in focus. Aperture controls how much of your photo is in focus. Wide aperture for blurry backgrounds, great for portraits. Narrow aperture for everything in focus, hello landscapes. It's like magic, but it's just physics. Wide aperture for blurry backgrounds, great for portraits. Narrow aperture for everything in focus, hello landscapes. Play around with different settings to see what works best for your style, see? Not so scary after all. With a little practice, you'll be navigating your camera's settings like a pro. Confidence is key, and the more you experiment, the more confident you'll become. Play around with these settings, experiment, and most importantly, have fun. Photography is an art, and there's no right or wrong way to do it. The best way to learn is by doing. Remember, even the best photographers started somewhere. They didn't become masters overnight. It took years of practice, experimentation, and yes, even mistakes. And by somewhere, I mean taking blurry photos of their feet. We've all been there, and it's all part of the learning process. Embrace your mistakes, learn from them, and keep shooting. Don't worry, we've all been there. The photography community is full of supportive people who have all gone through the same learning curve. So get out there, start shooting, and most importantly, have fun.